Welcome to the PRsonal podcast with me, your host, Charlotte Nichols, and I'm delighted to have alongside me today, Kerri Douglas. Keri is a speaker and lived experience consultant, and I'm excited to get to know the real Keri behind the professional. Okay, Keri, so 18 years ago, you were diagnosed as HIV positive. How did it feel to receive that news?
I felt like my life was over. I was 24 and I literally felt like I'd signed a death warrant. So, like contract death, like deal with the devil sort of thing. I honestly thought that was it for me. I thought it was the game over. I just thought my life was over.
Did you literally think you were going to die?
Yeah. Especially the life I was living. I was still on the streets. I was heavily intoxicated with substances. And I thought there was no way out from there. But it actually ended up being my saviour in the end, which was quite crazy because it was that live or die moment. It's like, I can either get out of this life now and get to see my boy again, who was taken off me when I was young due to adoption. And so it was kind of that was my wake up call, really. So although at first the initial response was like, oh, that's it for me. After a few weeks, this is actually my saviour. This is my salvation.
Oh, incredible. And we spoke very recently and you've since become undetectable thanks to treatment.
Yeah. So I think it was October the year, so it would have been October 24. I started taking antiviral. It's called Biktarvy. It's 3 different medications in one. And it was a voluntary medication. So for years, I thought that you couldn't take medication until you were on the board, on the verge of getting AIDS, which is not true. It's basically now you can volunteer from the very first day you get diagnosed. You can take antiviral treatment to be able to then control the virus. So although at first I was like, I'm healed of HIV, I'm not going to be healed unless they come out with a miracle cure. However, I'm no longer contagious. I'm no longer uncontrollable. I can't pass it on regardless, as long as I take that pill every day that does look like a horse tablet. But it's saving my life. It's stopping me from spreading the virus, and it's also keeping me here for my kids, isn't it? So it's worth the hard swallow every morning, shall we say. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how did it feel in contrast to receive that news?
Oh, I remember it was literally within 30 days. I started taking it at the beginning of October, and by the 30th of October, I got a call from my nurse, my clinical nurse at the RVI, and she said, I thought you'd like to know that your results are back and you're undetectable. And I was like, what does that mean? She said, you're below 20, your viral load is below 20. And I'm like, and I didn't understand at first. And she said, it's undetectable, you can't pass it. And I just burst out crying. And it was just like this invisible load just lifted off my shoulder because for 17 years I carried around so much shame, and it's like the way people would scurry away from me, they wouldn't even share a tissue with me, if I had a tissue in my pocket and tried to give it to someone, they'd be like, because they knew about my status. I'm like, you can't catch it like that, most people think, I can't share the toilet seat. And it's like, really? It's like, it's not like that. It's so hard to be able to contract. So it has to be blood on blood to be able to get. So if I've got an open cut and you've got an open cut and we went like that, blood to blood, then you can transfer it. It has to be an open cut to open cut. So there's so much stigma attached to it. It's this really easy to catch virus, but actually it's not as easy as people think it is.
What about sexual transmission?
So there's a lot of different misconceptions about that as well. So basically, from what I was told, it's been a long time since I was given this information, so the research has changed a lot. But it was like a 2% chance a woman can give it to a man through sex, but there was a 98% chance that a man can give it to a woman through sex because tears and bleeding and stuff like that. And that's why for homosexuals, it's gay men, not women, because there's no chance of cuts through transmission.
Okay, right.
Without going into gore.
Yes, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So basically it's because of the the roughness, shall we say?
Okay.
Cuts and
essentially
stuff.
it's the blood.
Yeah, so it's not
blood.
through
Mixing fluids.
Yes, thank you. I'm such a prude. So yeah, it's a blood-borne virus. It has to be blood to blood.
Okay.
You know, and there's a lot of stigma that Black African women and gay men, but actually, if you go into the homeless sector, you'll see that a lot of people, because of intravenous drug use, but I guess part of that comes from the gay scene as well, because male prostitutes and stuff like that are using and then sharing needles with other people. So it's that, I think, to be able to say it's one thing in particular that causes that virus is really wrong. I think it's the same. I'm not comparing it to COVID, but I am a little bit, because it's the same sort of thing. It's when we were going through COVID, because I watched It's the Sin, and it really shocked me to the core how it was back in the 80s when everybody first found out about this virus. And it's like you'd have a ward of 6 beds in it, and they were only putting one person in that ward and then shoving the food through the door and stuff. And it was a real picture of what it was like back in them days. And I was so grateful that it was 20 years since then from my diagnosis, because I don't know if I could have coped with that shame, with that stigma.
Do you feel there is still a stigma attached to HIV today?
I don't think so, not as much, nowhere near. Well, I don't, but I think because I'm very open about it anyway, and I've removed that shame. Even before I got the undetectable diagnosis, I was talking about it, and it's like any fear, anything like that, if you confront it, then it no longer becomes an issue. And because I've openly spoke about it in my book, I've openly spoken about it at talks and stuff, I don't allow that to have a hold over me. But I can't speak for everyone else though, because, you know, there might be someone else out there that is the same undetectable but still feels that element of shame and doesn't want to talk about it, even though it's not a big deal anymore. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And I'm really grateful for you talking about it, because as you were saying, shame thrives in silence.
Yeah.
The more we talk about it and speak about it, people realise there's nothing to be shameful about.
Yeah, exactly.
Personal isn't just about business. It's about the human stories behind them. We address all aspects of health, from cancer, gastric bands and meningitis to mental health and the menopause. Nothing is off limits on this show. But as these stories often highlight, you can't take your health for granted. I know I don't, and that's why I trust WPA to protect my health. WPA isn't like any other health insurer. It's not for profit and offers award-winning, tailored health insurance solutions to individuals, families, and businesses of all sizes. Among UK health insurers, it consistently tops consumer surveys and Trustpilot ratings, while its members can manage their membership from pre-authorising claims to accessing remote GP services, all on the WPA Health app. Crucially, they help ensure the access to the very best treatment at a time and place that is convenient to you. I speak with Martin Nichols, one of the 90-plus dedicated WPA healthcare partners across Britain, who provides advice and ongoing support during your journey with WPA. Contact Martin anytime on 07870 513 653 to discuss your requirements. Martin Nichols, appointed representative of WPA Healthcare Practice plc, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. The healthcare practice is a wholly owned subsidiary of Western Provident Association Limited, WPA. Okay, so on to the next topic. You've been through a lot in your life and you talk openly about your homelessness and drug addiction. Why is it important to you to talk so openly about it?
Because again, so many people are stigmatised because of the choices they make. I was 13 when I started sleeping on the streets, and people would walk past me right the way. I was 19 when I first started taking heroin. So there was a good period there where I wasn't even using, but I was still sleeping rough. I was a child on the streets. I was a care leaver. I wasn't a care leaver. I was a runaway kid from care. Let down by the system, let down by everyone. And I found that I felt like that's where I belonged, sort of thing. But then people used to walk past me and they used to look down at me, used to call me junkie, used to call me tramp, used to assume that they knew me, even though they didn't even stop and talk to me. Get a job, job. And I'm like, you don't even know me. And second of all, I don't have a national insurance number. I can't even get a job, mate. I'm too young to get a job. You can't get paid. I've got nowhere to live. Well, I mean, to be fair, I chose to run away from foster placements and stuff. But what I always say to people is if someone's choosing to run away from somewhere, then why are they choosing to, it can't be that safe a place, can it? No. So many people are judgmental when they walk past homeless people. They look down and they think they know that situation. But I mean, we won't go into detail for the things that happened to me growing up, the abuse, the neglect and stuff like that. For a 13-year-old girl to feel safer on the street, surely that should speak louder than the actual circumstances. And, you know, it's just the reason I openly speak about it is just so that people can stop and just flip their perspective a little bit, just flip the narrative, because actually, so what, they're sleeping in a doorway, that shouldn't be the issue. It should be why they're sleeping in the doorway. Like, why are you not asking better questions? Like, why is there women sat there black and blue, or men that have fought in like different countries for our country, but yet they're sitting there? Yeah. It's just that I just want people to stop and look at it as a human perspective rather than a judgmental perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And you made a powerful point on LinkedIn the other day about the importance of asking why someone is addicted rather than judging them for it. Can you expand on the connection between trauma, addiction and homelessness?
Yeah, I mean, so looking at my own experience, when I lost my son to the adoption system at 19, I was with a heroin addict. At the time I wasn't using, and he was like, oh, go on, have a bit of that, take your pain away. Because basically I was unhinged as a young person. I was running away from foster placement, sleeping on the streets and stuff like that. So social services, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, they were taking my boy anyway. So the day I found out that they were, the child protection meeting and everything had gone through, they were taking him. I was about 6 months gone. So then my ex at the time, Jack's dad, he was like, yeah, I'll have some of that, make you feel better. And I did. And it made me feel better. It took away every bit of pain I'd ever felt in my life. And it masked it all for about 5 years. And it was, so mental health services, especially up here in the Northeast, they are absolutely abysmal. So it was self-medication. And even like as gateway as like cannabis when I was younger and stuff like that. It's just that I've got ADHD as well. So there's a known connection between ADHD, like those sort of mental health issues, anxiety, ADHD, like autism, that more so ADHD than autism, that they're more prone to addictions and criminal offences, the adrenaline and stuff like that.
Okay.
So there's definitely, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but there's definitely connections there that with substances, when you're going through that trauma, it helps. I can never explain it, but it's like it makes it easier, should we say? It makes life bearable.
Yeah, yeah, it takes away the pain.
Yeah, it's just like taking Prozac. I know heroin is a lot worse than Prozac, and so is cocaine. But when you're intoxicated with that sort of stuff, when you're living on the streets and you're going through a hamster wheel of trauma and that led to getting you to the streets to begin with, then it's that hamster wheel you can't get off. So it just passes the time quicker, because when you have your fix, you go, you get your money, you go get some more. Like, it's just that constant, you don't stop to think about anything else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, did that almost become your routine? One of my questions was going to be like, what's a day in the life of a homeless drug user? Yeah,
so basically you don't sleep, you just, so the day would be, say I did go to sleep the night before, I'd wake up with the sun coming up or someone waking me up in my doorway, probably the people that worked in the establishment or security or even the police. They would come early hours in the morning before everyone started commuting to work. They'd wake you up, move you on. You'd have to gather all your stuff together, but that just takes too long and you've only got a couple of minutes to do that. So you just think, leave the stuff and go. So you literally pick up, put your coat on and walk away. You might go and sit and wait for a day centre to open where you can have a shower. That's first come, first serve. So you've got a building there and so they can take 30 people at a time, but you've got 50 people on the doorstep waiting. If you're not at the front of the queue, you're waiting till the second session, which could be at 2:00 in the afternoon. So then you've got to walk around. And if it's hot, most people think that homelessness affects in the winter the most, but actually it's got just as many risks in the summer, because you've got dehydration, I used to wake up with 3rd-degree burns on my nose, because of the sun shining. So yeah, you'd be sometimes walking around like with all this like heavy clothing on, you've been sweating through the night, so that's, and you're chafing and stuff like that, or vice versa, it's been pouring down and you've soaked wet through because of that. You've got all, we used to call it crack foot, when you get in the bath and all your feet shrivel up, well, it's like that, but it's 24/7 for like weeks on end, and you'd have all cuts in your feet and stuff like that. It was horrible. You couldn't even walk sometimes, especially like in the autumn times. And then, so yeah, and that'd just be to get some breakfast and to have a shower, and you just think, sod this, and you just go and sit down and beg somewhere and wait for all the people to come online, shotters, like the dealers. It's just that hamster wheel, and then you'd literally it could take you 10 minutes to make a tenner, or it could take you 10 hours to make a tenner. You finally make that, then you go and sort yourself out, and then everything just fades away. There's just so many times I used to wake up like really ill because I was withdrawing and stuff, and I'd be like, I'm so ready to get out of this life again, and then someone would walk past and give me a £20 drop, and I'd be straight to score, and then that whole rehabilitation was straight out the window because I was back on that cycle. Some days I'd go 4 or 5 days without even stopping, and I'd be bouncing all over the street like body popping because I was so high. And because I'm ADHD as well, I'm riddled with ADHD, so I'm overstimulated, overregulated, high on as much, like I was like on £3,500 a day worth of drugs because I was shoplifting, I was begging, I was in a relationship with someone who was robbing car parks, like not cars, but car parks for the tom-toms and stuff. Not my proudest moments. I call it the life of the Artful Dodger. It's like Oliver Twist, like ducking and diving, dodging the dibble. It's, yeah.
Goodness, did you get in trouble sometimes?
Yeah, so I've been to Holloway 5 times. Holloway's actually closed now, but yeah, I've been to prison a few times, but only for... I did go for ABH once, but that was completely a fabricated story. So I got let off with that in the end, but I spent some time in prison for that, but mainly just for shoplifting. And my first ever time in prison was for begging, 24 hours, for the whole weekend. So I got arrested on the Friday and I got released on the Monday morning from court, but I spent the whole weekend in Holloway. I was only 21. And I used to think it was funny because... holiday to Holloway I wasn't even begging either, but that's what they said it was because I was sat there in my blanket with a cup next to me. But you're not allowed a hot drink when you live on the streets or reading a book and stuff like that. So, okay. Yeah, sorry I can't.
Wow, no, goodness me. And what was your experience like in prison?
I actually enjoyed it, to be fair, because I do thrive in isolation. Sometimes I just like to close off from the world because I've been hurt and like treated quite badly so often in my life. Sometimes I just feel like I can't connect with humans, period, because I just have this niggling thought that they've got some ulterior motive, they're going to hurt me. So sometimes I just detach completely. So, and when you're on the streets and you can't close a door, you can't just hide away. I can't just close my bedroom door and get stuck into a Netflix series. Do you know what I mean? That I can do now. Whereas then the only time I could get any time out was in prison. And it was free meals. It was, I'll get killed for saying this because so many people are like, taxpayers' money pays for the prison service. But yeah, it was a hotel for the night. And
it's a reality, isn't it?
It's a warm bed. It was hot food in my belly. And I wasn't really harming anyone in the process. I mean, when I say shoplifting, I'm not talking about shoplifting from like Debenhams or anything like that. I'm talking about shoplifting a sandwich from Sainsbury's. Like I went to prison for stealing a sandwich from Sainsbury's. And it's stuff like that, and it's like, I didn't do that as malice. I did that because I had to survive on the streets. If I begged for £2.50 to buy that sandwich, I'd go to prison for begging. If I steal the sandwich, I go to prison for stealing the sandwich for £2. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and then you're trapped because, like you said before, you don't have a national insurance number or an address, so you can't get a job necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's that hamster wheel again, isn't it?
Yeah. And was it not always almost an incentive to steal a sandwich so you had a warm, comfortable, safe space to stay?
Yeah. I mean, not in my mind, but there was a few girls that like we used to all be on the streets together. They'd be like working in Soho, doing the nightlife, like working girls and stuff.
Yeah.
And you'd go in and you'd see them on the wing and they'd be like, holiday. And we'd all just sing that together. And it'd be like, what are you doing? What do you think, babe? It's winter time, innit? I needed a holiday, you know, and it's like that whole banter. And it does seem really bad. But we were talking about this before. It's like when you're stuck in that cycle, like rehabilitation and stuff, prison service, they don't help rehabilitate. It's just like a holiday camp. It's like it's not even a holiday camp. It's more like it's not, I could get really shocked for this, but, you know, prison is not, it's not regimented like you would think. It's basically like you could literally just sit there in your bed all day. All right, they'd turn off the TVs and stuff so you couldn't watch TV. But when you've been living on the streets for so long, you don't really care about a TV. You just want to sit in that bed and not do anything, you know. So there'd be small things there that would be strict or structured, shall we say, but I don't think it's not done in a way where there's any reform in there, if that makes sense.
Okay. And I suppose as well, one critical factor is safety when you're on the street. It's just how dangerous is it as a woman?
Yeah.
As a young woman as well,
Yeah.
young girl at the time.
I mean, I was quite fortunate because, I mean, I'm quite leery anyway. My bark's a lot worse than my bite. And I was like a little Yorkshire Terrier sometimes. And but then I saw people getting set fire to in their sleeping bags, like women that I knew and stuff like that, getting like really badly attacked.
By who?
Just random people. I mean, sometimes I used to wake up with wee all over me and stuff like that, and people would spit on me and stuff. But this would be just people coming out of the boozer on a, like we're talking about down the Strand in London, and, you know, open street, a police station around the corner, but they would literally just antagonise, beat people up in that, like, you know, like if you've got someone sleeping, like, I call it the caterpillar effect. So if you put the sleeping bag over your face, you kind of suffocate yourself to sleep. It's like really weird. But it was a way I could knock myself out straight away. But a lot of people do it, and it's like keeping the wind off your face as well. But you'd have like people coming out the pub and stuff, and they'd start booting at your head and just kicking in the sleeping bag and stuff and not even caring. And again, that comes back to why I want to speak about people on the streets, because nobody does speak up for them, you know. And although the worst thing that would happen to me is getting spit on or weed on or verbal abuse, I've seen that happen. Like, I've seen people beaten, almost gone, you know. Like, and it's just disgusting the way people do it. And the thing is, I did something with someone a couple of years ago. Should homelessness, like crimes against homelessness, be a hate crime? And I do believe it should, because if you attack, so like, for example, I was lying along Piccadilly opposite Fortnum and Mason. That was where my pitch was, at the garage there. It used to be the Alliance and Leicester Bank, but it's now the MG garage. Basically, community support officer, I'm lying there and he's come along to wake me up, but he didn't just like, you're all right, can you move along now? He's kicked the bag from under my head that I was using as a pillow. So the bag's gone flying and my head is smashed off the floor, and I bounced back up again. So then I've jumped up and I was like, really, because he wasn't even we called them plastic police officers back in the day, because they weren't even real police officers. And I'm like, you can't do that to me. And he started giving me grief, but it was just one of those have a go heroes. I used to always give me grief when he was down there. He was the only one. Not everybody else used to love me, like all the police and stuff, because I never used to be an aggressive beggar or anything like that. I used to just get on with my staff and not give them any grief. And basically, so he'd done this that morning, and I got up and I just got so enraged and I couldn't go for him, so I spat at him. And I weren't proud of that, because that's one of the most disrespectful things you can do to someone. But I got 6 weeks common assault for that, and I did 3 weeks in Holloway for that. But he came and antagonised me. He kicked that from under my head. I smacked my head off the floor. Physical assault, yet I'm the one that gets put into prison for it because of retaliation. He got to keep his job, no discipline or anything like that. If anything, they were all panicking for him, because this was long before I even got diagnosed with anything as well. So I wasn't even like knowingly.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Because now if I had a fight with someone, like I got arrested, like I said before, I got arrested for an assault that wasn't even real. It was an allegation that was made up. But because of the fact the woman basically bit her hand and it was bleeding, and she said, I did it because we'd had a fight and she, over a bloke, it was ridiculous. And she had this mark. But because I had HIV, I got arrested. Now this will just blow your mind. I'll never get over it. Attempted murder to start with, because I was knowingly passing on killer virus. It got dropped from attempted murder straight away to serious assault, like ABH, is it? No, so not GBH, ABH. And then I spent about 12 weeks in Holloway, and then they come one day and said, no, there's a witness come forward and said they saw her do that. And I was like, well, I told you this all along, but it is what it is. That was the last time I was in prison, never gone back since.
So essentially you've got no rights.
Yeah, but again, it was a blessing in disguise, because I was able to get clean properly in prison. And when I came out, I had no mindset. I was living in a hostel when that happened anyway. So I was already I'd just got diagnosed with HIV literally weeks before. So that in itself, and like I said earlier, it was like that was my salvation, because even that whole ordeal, attempted murder, and I haven't even done anything wrong, but that must have been what really put the shame in me from the beginning, because I could actually cause a lot of pain to other people if I pass that virus on, if that makes sense. Yeah. So subconsciously, that's probably always been in the back of my mind. Yeah. I was like sharing toothbrushes and stuff, like, because, your gums bleed and stuff like that. I've had to have things up high. I remember when my little girl, they were only about 5 or 6, and they were in the bath. Now they're twins, so they were in the bath together. I don't really care, because it's the thing, isn't it? You just bath them together. Absolutely. And I remember I literally popped out for 1 second to get a towel, come back in, and she's trying to copy me and shave her legs. Well, she's cut her knee with my razor, and I'll never forget it. It was like yesterday, it was that whole, she's going to get it, she's going to get it, she's going to get it. Because everyone cuts their legs shaving at some point, don't they? And I'm like, what if? Because the thing is, with the virus, although once it leaves your body, the virus dies within 3 seconds. If that dead blood comes into contact with live blood, it brings it back. It's like, so if you share needles, although that blood has died leaving their body, once you put fresh blood into it, it's really strange how it works. Yeah. So anyway, I panicked and I rang my clinician at the time, and he was like, no, you don't need to worry. He said, that's like, it's another thing that's misunderstood. Yeah. So basically there's me panicking for years about sharing toothbrushes, and then she's cut her leg, but actually you can't even pass it on like that anymore.
Okay, but they were okay.
Yeah, they were fine, absolutely fine. And it's like, even to this day, I do fear, getting them tested and stuff like that, but they're completely fine. And when they were born, they had antivirals for the first month of their life through a syringe. And
it sounds like it was a really traumatic time on the street. Yeah. So do you ever get flashbacks today?
All the time. Like, I think I've had to really, this last couple of months, I've really had to take a step back from homelessness a bit, I think, because what I'm starting to see is I've come to a point now where I've spoke about homelessness for 10 years, and I've really been out there, putting myself out there at events and stuff like that. It really takes its toll on, because I've got PTSD as well. So it's very triggering, and I didn't realise. But, it depends. So I did something with CEO. We did an advert, you probably saw it, where I was sat begging and a guy came up to me, and it was such an amazing day. It was such an amazing experience. And it was like a dream come true, because I've always wanted to do that, be on the cameras and singer and all that. And I got to work with an actor and a proper film crew, and it was the most amazing experience. But the weirdest, most craziest thing about it was in the next street from where I was pregnant with Jack, sleeping rough with Jack's dad, and where I ended up when I lost Jack. That's where I was sleeping and stuff. So it was that, although it was a great thing I was doing, it was the fact that I had to step back into my trauma and relive that trauma in the same place. And it was like a bit of but not just that instance, it's just in general, and it's a couple of weeks ago I went back to Soho to do some work, and I guess it's the way of the universe, doing full circle moments, because a few times I've ended up going back to speak in places or work in places where I used to be frequent in as that life, you know. So I was in Dean Street a couple of weeks ago, and it was just like, and it just really does trigger.
I bet it does.
Yeah, so it's like I've had to really evaluate how much I do go into now, you know, without having to skim past rather than having to relive, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And I'm very grateful for you sharing this experience. I hope it isn't too triggering for you. But you mentioned about Jack, and you had to have him taken away from you as soon as he was born. Is that right?
Yeah, so Jack was removed from my care pretty much instantly because I was a runaway kid in care. There was no way, even if I wasn't with Paul, there was no way they would let me have that baby, because, I mean, to be fair, I can honestly say now it was a blessing in disguise. Although it killed me for so many years, I would not have been able to give Jack what he needed at that time. I couldn't have done that. And I'm grateful that he got to have some sort of a childhood, you know, away from me. And I'm so grateful that now, like weeks after his 16th birthday, he found me. He's been looking for me since he was 11. So it could have been so different. It could have been like, you see these stories, and it was my biggest fear there, where they reunite 40 years down the line, and it's just not good. But actually, it's been a bit rocky, but we're in a really good place, and we're so close now, you know, and it's great. So
that's lovely to hear. Yeah. I'm so happy about that, because it must have just been excruciatingly painful.
Yeah, I think, like I say, for the first 5 years I was intoxicated because it was masking my pain, it was blocking it out. And then pretty much as soon as I got off the gear, I got diagnosed with the HIV in the April, and then in the December I fell pregnant with twins. So it was like 8 months into my recovery, I fell pregnant. So it was that. And the way I looked at it, and I'm not dismissing Jack one way, shape or form, but I feel like I got blessed with twins to make up for the one that I lost in some sort of strange way. And now I've got all three of them in my life. I'm even happier, you know, but it was like as a reward.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
And were you so determined to turn your life around this time?
Yeah, the minute I found out I was pregnant, I mean, I was living in a hostel at the time, and they were like, you do realise we have to put this forward because you've just come off of heroin as well, so we need to do a risk assessment. And I went on a 24-hour binge and got high as a kite as I possibly could, because of that PTSD just triggered inside of me, and I went missing. And then it was on Valentine's Day, and I was smoking that much. I was throwing up because obviously the morning sickness as well. I ended up because I was bringing up blood, I got panicky. I thought, what am I doing? And I ended up in A&E, and that's when I found out I was twins. And I was like, yeah, no, this has got to change. And I've never touched it since, never touched the thing since.
Yes. Oh, good for you. So you were, the first time with Jack, you were pregnant and homeless.
Yeah.
Goodness me. It's bad enough being pregnant and having a lovely, comfortable house to live in at times. You know?
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I was, so all my life I've just wanted that 2.4 children family, do you know, like the happy relationship, the marriage, the car, the job, the dream 2.4 life. So when I was with Paul, they knew he was on the gear. They tried to get me to leave him and stuff, and I was just not having it because I just wanted my family to stay together. And right up until right at the end when I had Jack, just before he got taken away, I couldn't even, the epidural went wrong. It pierced a hole in my spine. So I was getting they warn you when you go in for the epidural that that's the 1 in a million chance. I said, don't tell me that because it'll happen to me. Oh no, you'll be fine. And it happened to me. So I could not lift my head off the pillow or anything. It was like someone was smacking me over the head with a hammer, just because where it was spinal fluid, and I had to have a spinal tap twice in my spine where they had to take blood and put it in the hole. So basically I was on morphine, I was on all sorts. There's no way I could do anything other than that. I was just literally lying in the bed. But Paul was still coming up, and he was using in the toilet. And he left his stuff on my side in the room that I was in. And the nurse came to do my obs one morning, and she was like, what's this? And I'm just looked at her, high on morphine and every other drug apart from heroin. And I was just like, what does it look like, sort of thing? Just because I'm shocked as she is. I got arrested for possession, even though there was hardly anything in it. It was just watery stuff. And then I got released with a caution, but I'm still in so much agony. I had to get I had to walk back from the police station, which was probably about 3.5 miles. Like, they weren't washing me while I was in hospital, so I was covered in like blood and everything. I couldn't walk because of the hole in my spine, and I was still like, my head was still banging. I was in a state, I'm not going to even paint a picture of the worstness of it, because it was a real bad state, and that they should, duty of care, they should never have allowed that, to be fair. But anyway, because I was a heroin addict, they think it does about me, to be fair. Okay. They just think that as soon as you're associated with that, you're kind of dehumanised instantly anyway. So they didn't care about any of that. And then they took Jack off me. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere near him without security present and stuff. And when I come out, I was like, so sad. I went to where we used to sleep, and he was there, my ex-partner. And he was high as a kite, and I just looked at him and I thought, you coward. I hated him from that day onwards, because I thought, you've done this, and I've lost my boy because of you. Because he could have come, he stood and watched the whole thing, watched me getting taken away by the police and everything, and he stood like a coward and watched all that, and he knew that I did nothing wrong. I was literally, and I stayed with him for the sake of just staying with him, because I was hurting, but I resented him for so long after that. And I think we stayed together about just over a year, and he went to prison on a warrant for shoplifting, and I'd done a Dear John and just left him. It was like, yeah, I feel really bad saying it, because I'm not a horrible person, but he really hurt me. And it was just like the first opportunity I could to escape, I did, because he was very abusive, he was physically violent, he was very controlling. So I say that I stayed with, it was easier, it was the path of least resistance to just stay with him. It was all I had in terms of some kind of love, even though it was toxic love. I had no support from my family at that time. I had nothing, so he was all I had. And yeah, he's actually no longer with us now. He passed away a couple of years ago. He passed away 2 years before Jack reunited with us. And I mean, the beauty of it is, Jack says that I exceeded his expectations. He thought I was still going to be that same person that he's heard all about. And I hate the fact that he's no longer here to give his side of, like, take his side of, because I have took a little bit, obviously, and I've been prepared to take that, because I should have been more responsible for Jack. You know, you should never even create a baby unless you're prepared to look after it, in my opinion, you know. So I do resent the fact that Paul wasn't here to take some of the crap. Do you know what I mean? But yes. At the same time, I'm so proud, because I've got such a good relationship with my son, and I don't think he would ever be able to have that with his father, because his father cared about something else more than he cared about anything else. Do you know what I mean?
How do you protect your children from what happened to you? That's the one. I'm too protective. I think I'm too anxious. Because of my PTSD as well, sometimes I'm constantly in fight or flight. So if I see on the news, I can't even watch the news these days, because if I see a kid's been hurt or this is happening, or especially when Charlie was in the system, I was, dabbling in like drinking and stuff like that, and it puts the fear of God in you, and you think, but it doesn't matter what background you come from, that is going to be the norm for kids these days, you know, with social media and stuff like that. They're so easily influenced, you know, and yeah, it's hard raising teenagers. I think about what it was like when I was their age. I was running around the streets and stuff like that at 13, and I just think I wouldn't do it today. If I was a 13-year-old, I wouldn't dare. I get scared walking around London today sometimes, you know, and that's really weird considering I used to be so fearless. But my anxiety is through the roof, because we don't live in a safe world anymore, and even for adults it's not safe. And I'm just, yeah, if we could have like a little island somewhere where it's just the three of us, or four of us, sorry, including Jack, like that'd be it. I'd be happy. Yeah. And you've written a book, a really honest book, Gutter to Glory. Yeah. And that gave me a great deal of insight of what you've been through. And honestly, after reading it, I was so grateful just to have a bed at night. Yeah. You know, you take simple things for granted in life. And out of everything that you've been through, because you've been through so much, you've hardly even touched the surface, what would you say has been the most challenging thing that you faced?
Raising the twins.
Really?
alone. Yeah, because I've been a single parent all their life, pretty much. Me and their dad split when they were 2. And because my mum had multiple partners, I had a different dad every week, basically. I always said I didn't want anybody else playing dad to my kids. So I've stayed single all their life, basically. So 15 years now. I mean, I say 15 years. I had a brief relationship last year that was like the worst mistake of my life. So, and that's the thing I think I've come to realise, because of where I've come from, healthy relationships is just not something I'm ready for yet. You know, I always seem to attract toxic. Okay. Like even with my ex-mother-in-law, I thought she was a huge support, but she turned out to be the most toxic person I've ever met. And, you know, so it's like, I feel like I'm so guarded now. It's just about staying true to myself and to the kids, you know, because I don't want them getting a false perception of normalised relationships either, you know. I think, that's probably the hardest thing, just keeping the kids protected from like anything really.
As much as you can.
Too much.
And what's your motivation for staying on the straight and narrow now?
My kids. Everything just comes down to my kids, really. And then my grandkids, obviously, to come, you know, because I'm looking at them now and I'm thinking, I've done some things wrong, right? We're all together still and like we're all in a good place now, but I've got some regrets, but I think to myself, everybody's got regrets, you know, and now when the grandkids come in a few years, hopefully not yet, they're only like, my kids are only 16 and 21. But, you know, when they eventually do have kids, I can hopefully like vicariously make up for, is that the right word, vicariously? Yeah, so I can make up for it. But I mean, Rebecca, she's doing her prom dress and stuff like that. And it makes me so like, I look at her and I just think, I wish I had a prom. And now I can live my prom through her, because we didn't have proms back in the days.
No,
you know what I mean? It's only something new. And I'm really jealous because I used to think, I would love a prom, because you see it in America, didn't you?
Yeah.
But she's making her own dress and, you know, it's just such a, you know, when you look at me, you just think, I made that. I made that and I raised that. Proud. And I've took some, sorry for swearing, but I've took some crap over the years from them, especially as teenagers with their sass and their gop and stuff. And I just think to myself, through it all, you're really great people. And I'm so proud of that. You know, how could I, who's never going to amount to anything, who's going to be stuck on the streets and bang on the gear and date little smackhead, how did that produce that, you know? And it just makes me feel so special. So
like you're breaking the cycle.
Definitely. I think I've done that.
Such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, because like, especially when the world's looking at you, like, so I was written off by everybody, the education system, the social services, my family, everyone was like, nah, because I'm riddled with ADHD and I've got all these other mental health problems. I didn't feel like I fitted into society anyway, having ADHD in the 80s and 90s, you know, because nobody had it then. And that's what they kept saying, girls don't get ADHD, she's just naughty. No, I'm just riddled with ADHD. I'm that riddled. I'm on the spectrum and off the other side. So how can you say? But now, you know, and it's like I go to the professionals, the mental health professionals, and they're like, no, it's just trauma. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Before the trauma started, you were telling me I was just badly behaved, and now you're telling me it's trauma related because I've gone through a lot of trauma from being undiagnosed then, and I've had to mask and self-medicate. So it's just that, it's just now I just get on with it. I'm just different. Just different.
Yeah, we all are in our own ways, aren't we?
I think if we were all the same, we'd be like robots walking around in a boring old world, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. So what are your ambitions for the next 10, 20 years?
Oh, God, that's a long time to think about, isn't it?
Or even shorter term if it's too far away.
So I'm writing I've actually got 2 books already. I've got the workbook Homelessness Inside Out, which is like for services that understand the homeless person from a deeper perspective. But I've got my 3rd book on the go called Phoenix Rising, which is part 2 of Gutter to Glory, so my memoir. But it talks about the healing rather than the circumstance, you know, like rebuilding. So, you know, when you think of a phoenix rising from the ashes, it's like you walk through the fire, you get burnt, but what happens to a lump of coal when you put it through the fire? It becomes a diamond, doesn't it? It's like we are the same. We're like phoenixes in the ashes. So like once we die, we rise again. more beautiful, more stronger than before. So although it's like part 2 of my first book, it's like it's not for me, it's for you. So not you, but like it's for the person you could be in the most crappiest of situations, but there is zero limits in this world. You can literally take yourself from the ashes and create a masterpiece of beauty. So that's what the second book's going to be focusing on, helping people tap into their inner resilience and just like rise from the ashes.
Amazing. When's that book going to be out?
When it's finished written. People have been asking for it since the first one. So like, when are you going to do the second book? Because in the end of the first one, it's like to be continued. Because I put the end and a friend of mine raised like, no, it needs to be to be continued because your story's not over yet. So I changed it.
Oh, good point.
And now everyone's like, when's the next part coming out? But this year I have started writing it. It's already in the process. I'm hoping this year it will be there.
Okay, amazing. I'll look out for it. And you mentioned that word resilience. You are so resilient. What would be your advice or any tips or takeaways be for someone who's looking to improve their resilience?
Just look within, you'll find it. Like, seriously, like people say, how did you do that? How did you get through that? How did you manage to find that strength? And I'm like, what people don't realise is there is nothing in this world you cannot do. Like I say, zero limits that you cannot do. You can literally do anything you put your mind to. And I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm uncontrollable, like non-conformable, ADHD riddled, but my mum always used to say there's no such word as can't. And my dad even says to me, like when we're talking, he says to me, you will always prove me wrong. And that's what I love, because I tell you can't do something, you'll show me that you can. So I always say there is nothing you can't do. If you like, you might feel, if you get pushed into the deep end of the swimming pool, you've either got to sink or swim. And 9 times out of 10, you're swimming for your life. Whether you're treading water or you're swimming, you'll find a way to get out of that situation. And it doesn't matter what situation you're in, it's the same principle. So it might seem like impossible, but I always say there's no such thing as impossible without I'm possible. So you just put a little apostrophe there and you've got I'm possible. And it's so true. So if you think you can't, just look in the mirror and tell yourself you can, and you will. Like, it's that simple. It's so simple. It's like, what's going to change the world? Love. That's the cliche thing about it. Love makes the world go round. And there is nothing as human beings that we cannot do. You know, if we think it, we can manifest it without going down that route. You know, it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in fear of like the unknown and, I can't do that. But why can't you?
Yeah.
You can put one foot in front of the other and walk, can't you?
Definitely. And I totally believe what you say about love. And you kind of almost think because you didn't have enough love, that led you down the path you've been in your life.
Yeah. I think because I always wanted to feel that, because I was so... like, even to this day, I think I struggle with the whole feeling, because I don't know what it feels like really. Even when, like, so I've got some really amazing people in my life that I know love me and adore me, but there's something in me that just can't grasp that because of where I've come from, you know, and I feel bad on them people because actually they genuinely do care. But for me, it's like, I don't understand that feeling, because I've never had that feeling. So am I giving it, am I reciprocating, right? Am I, you know, it's quite a difficult one, to be honest.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bless you. Well, I hope you discover that, and I hope you learn to love yourself, which is often half the battle, as cheesy as it sounds. That's where
I'm at, yeah. So last year I was learning to love myself, and then it's the fire horse year this year. So I'm very much into the spiritual side of things now, and I've been listening to a lot of downloads and readings and stuff, and basically I'm being told by, I think, the universe to love myself more this year. So I'm trying to love myself even more this year, and I think once I learn to love myself right, then the right love will come to me in the ways that I need it to. Like I said, I've got amazing people around me that I know care about me and love me in a way, but it's that relationship love and the whole unconditional love that I think that I'm still waiting for and searching for. And I know my kids love me and adore me, but sometimes when they're giving you attitude, you just think, really? Really?
Oh, and it's your ambition to deliver a TED Talk. Yeah. If you do get that platform, what's the one core message that you're most passionate about that you want to share with the world?
Love changes the world. Like, it's so, I know it sounds like hippy dippy. I should have been born in the 60s or the 70s, to be fair. Maybe I was, and I've just come back around again. But I think, yeah, like I watched Brené's a couple of years ago, and I've been in awe since. And a couple of years ago, I got nominated by someone. You by any chance?
You'd make an amazing TED Talk. You'd produce an amazing TED Talk.
I just wasn't ready then. And then I feel like I'm ready to do that now. I feel like and I've seen some TED Talks, and I've watched a lot on YouTube and stuff. And I just think I think everybody's got a purpose in this life and a message to share. And I do feel like I've got the platform to be able to share that message and bring change through that message without sounding big-headed or egotistical. I just feel like I do have a good message that I'd like to share and could potentially change the world with.
Definitely. It's all the more believable because you've been through it.
Yeah, it's like when people look, I mean, I would love to see some of them now, you know, that used to walk past me and call me a dirty junkie and tramp, and I'd be like, who's laughing now, mate? You know, not in a horrible way, just like, never judge a book by its cover, because once you read the inside, you'll be blown away.
Yes.
You know, and some of them people I could probably, and again, it's not a case of like I'm better than you or whatever. It's just some of those people I could probably say I've achieved a lot more. You know, how many people can say that they've walked through Parliament, spoken Parliament, not once, not twice, but 3 times, you know, and that's not bad for a little junkie that used to sleep around the corner, you know, and it's stuff like that. And it's, so before you verbalise that and you drum that message into the person who's receiving it, just think about the message you're delivering first, because those words kept me in that place for so long. Because if you tell a child they're bad, that child's going to be bad. They adopt that mindset, don't they? They adopt that feeling. And I feel like a lot of those things that were said to me made it more prevalent and made me more stuck in that life. And eventually I got out, but I'm not blaming them completely, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't support.
You subscribe to society's narrative.
Yeah, exactly. If it's like the school, oh, you're never going to amount to nothing. I wish I could see some of them teachers now, you know.
Yeah,
and
it's like, send them the podcast.
Yeah, I was just like, send them the book, send them the podcast, send them the news interviews, you know. And it's like, I hope some of them have sat there and watched.
Sure, they will be.
I remember her. She was a right little madam. I just needed someone to love me. That's all I needed. Somebody to stop and say, "You're a good girl. You are. You're very polite." Like, because people say it to me all the time. You know, I'm very articulate. I'm very polite, and I'm very well managed. Well, considering I was raised by wolves, mate, that's like just shows my character rather than my upbringing, doesn't it? Because, and you'd be surprised. Right, so I always say, sorry, I'm going on a bit, but I always say, your car breaks down, right? And you're like, oh, what am I going to do? So you walk into the nearest pub or coffee shop, and you've got 10 people sitting there having a cuppa. And excuse me, you walk in, excuse me, can you help me with my car? It's just broke down. And you've got 10 people there. 9 out of them 10 people are normal people, and 1 person's a homeless person. The first person that's going to offer to help you is that homeless person, I can guarantee you, because they just want to help. They just want to pay it forward. They just want to feel love and acceptance.
I understand. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, but then you've got all the other ones sat there more than capable, but they're like, oh, pretending they can't hear.
It's almost like they've got their love as well.
Yeah, because they're quite happy in their little world. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, actually, what would you do if you needed support from someone else? You know, it's like someone asked for a cigarette this morning. I didn't have it to give them. And then another guy was like, I'm not giving her one. And I was like, I feel really bad because I can't afford to smoke myself these days. You know, and he was like, yeah, but and he started being really nice. And I said, yeah, but it's nice to know if you're in trouble that you can get support, even though a cigarette's not trouble. But do you know what I mean? It's just that whole principle. Yeah. You know, look after people and people look after you. It's just respect, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's a nice message to end on, Kerri, but we've also got our 10 questions that we do at the end that I've got on my phone. I'm not just suddenly being rude of checking my emails. So we ask each guest 10 questions and you answer on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, at how you'd rate yourself at the following. So, number 1, how good looking are you?
I've got really bad self-esteem. I would say about a 6.
How funny are you?
Oh, I'm hilarious. I'm a 9.
How good at cooking are you?
I'd say an 8. I do burn quite a lot because I get distracted with ADHD. So.
Are you good at singing?
Love singing. I'm a very good singer.
What would you rate yourself?
8.
Brilliant. How good at drinking alcohol are you?
I'm terrible at drinking alcohol because I just do stupid things. I just swerve drink nowadays.
Are you totally sober?
No, I have a glass of wine now and again, but
Okay.
I'm like, if I'm out, I'm a wild drunk. So I just, I can't stop. Once I pop, I can't stop.
I didn't know if because you used to be a drug user, you built up a tolerance to alcohol as well.
No, not really. I mean, when I came off the gear at first, I did used to buy a can of Tennant Super every night, right?
Yeah.
It was like rocket fuel. It was enough to fuel a rocket. And I'd get a can of that and I'd go and I'd read a book every night, and that Tennant Super would knock me for 6, but it didn't last long. It was just literally to get like through the night. But I've never really been a big drinker. Okay.
It's different tolerance wise.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a higher tolerance to alcohol. I'm like, I can drink like an ox, but it's the antics, shall we say? So I'd rather just get ADHD and alcohol just don't mix.
Yeah. Raising children.
I mean, I've done all right. I'd say about 7.
Okay. Being a friend.
I'm a good friend. I think probably an 8.
Okay. How intelligent are you?
Apparently I'm really intelligent. Do you know what? I'm going to go higher than that one. I'll say about an 8 again, because I think I'm quite intelligent.
I mean, you've written books as well, you know.
Yeah, I think I've got quite a noggin in there. My nan used to say, you've got a loaf, Kerri, and just use it.
Yeah. How kind are you?
I'm very kind. I would say 9 or 10 on that one. I mean, literally when I was on the streets, if I had a pound over what I needed to get, I'd give it to the next homeless person. I would literally give. I've come from a Sleepout, seen someone homeless and that no shoes and stuff. I've took my socks off and given to them. So I'd say kindness is probably my highest rating of everything, to be fair, without being, I think because I know what it's like to have nothing, I like to give. If I've got, I mean, I was very much part of the church for a few years, and it was like, you don't need more than one thing. Like if you've got 2, give a brother, give it to a brother. So yeah, I think quite high with that one.
Yeah, is that very much a culture on the streets?
Yeah, you look after each other. Yeah, you just got each other's back, isn't it?
And you've also mentioned the CEO Sleepout charity a couple of times. We should really talk about them a little bit. We don't normally give plugs, but seeing as it's very close to both our hearts. Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit more about that charity and what you've done for them over the years? Yeah,
so I started being an ambassador in 2000 I think it was just after COVID, actually. So I did my first talk at Sleepout virtually. So it was COVID. And then I started being an ambassador, lived experience ambassador in 2021. And up until now, I absolutely adore them. I love everything they do. And it's just, I tell you what, I say it all the time, they have restored my faith in humanity. Because before I came across Bianca's a very good friend of mine now, and she's also the CEO of the CEO Sleepout. But
she's also been a guest on this podcast, one of the very early guests, maybe number 3.
Really? Yeah. Well, I'll have to dig that out and have a look. So whenever I used to hear about Sleepouts, I'll take you back to Covent Garden, the first ever one that I'd experienced. I think I was about 14, and they were putting all the barriers up and stuff and carrying boxes of wine in and out for the celebrity Sleepout. It was on Channel 4, and you had even Nigel Farage, come to think of it. It's like people like that, all these celebrities, and basically you weren't allowed near the thing. It's right in the middle of Covent Garden, and we just felt like they were taking the absolute mick out of us, basically, because you weren't even allowed to speak to these people. And I was like, you really don't care about the homeless, but you're pretending to be homeless. How does that roll? So it always got my back up, and I used to just think it was just a publicity stunt. And then I met B, and then I met the people at the CEO Sleepouts, and I was like, these are big people in business. They have got so much influence. They've got so much room within the country to be able to make a difference. And the more I meet, I mean, I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years now, and I've met some incredible people that I would never have dreamt of being those people had I not have spent the night with them and chatted to them. When I was in Mayfair, like Fortnum and Masons, it's like one of the richest streets in Westminster, and that's why I stayed there, because it's all secure with cameras everywhere, and you've got police patrolling. Because I was there, and then just down the street you've got Buckingham Palace if you go through the park, so it was a highly secure area. So I was safe. But then I'm sat there eating scraps for breakfast, and 2 doors down, you've got people drinking champagne for breakfast and eating caviar. Do you know what I mean? And it's like that.
Two worlds.
Yeah. And I always thought it was the us and them. But since doing the sleep outs, it's actually...
Yeah, it's changed your perception as well as them changing perception.
And I think it's more the middle ones, the ones in between, that are just the working class rather than the business owners that are the ones that have got that little bit of resentment, if that makes sense.
Probably because they're tough,
they have to grind and hustle to get their dollar. So why are they going to give it to you? Yeah. But then you've got the business leaders at the top that... Yeah, but then they used to walk past and they used to jingle their change and look at me, and I was like,
oh goodness.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
let's get back. No, it's okay. I just thought it was good to mention CEO Sleepout. And finally, how good would you rate yourself at sex?
Oh gosh, it's been that long, I can't remember. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that one because I'm a prude, and it really has been a long time. So we'll go like a 4.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks so much, Kerri. You've been amazing.
No problem.
Stories are at the heart of the Personal podcast, and we're so grateful for everyone who comes on and shares them. Stories are also at the heart of a strong PR campaign. And at Harvey and Hugo, we believe that everyone's story deserves a chance to be heard. That's why we're on a mission to give you a voice amplified through the power of story. Our stories are shared in the form of press releases, social media, content marketing, videography, photography, animation, graphic design, and podcasting. Our stories aren't just heard, they're shared, watched, clicked, but most importantly, they are felt. It's this stirring of emotions that cuts through the noise to light fires within people and activate them towards your purpose. So one question for you, are you ready to share your story? Harvey and Hugo, your voice amplified.